Yeah, you got to be a hustler, definitely. You got to, have that drive in you. For me, I always had that. I mean, I was more like a bold kind of young person. Wasn't afraid of anything, to try things.
So, welcome to the You Are Lawyer podcast, Edward Cohn. How are you today?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing well. I'm doing well. So, Edward, would you tell the audience who you are and what's a typical day like for you?
I'm an attorney. I do criminal defense work here in Tucson, Arizona. I also help people with contested hearings for orders of protection and injunction against harassments, but those are like protective orders. But I mainly do criminal defense work here in Tucson, both misdemeanors and felonies. My day typically is checking through emails and returning calls and appearing in court. A lot of the court hearings right now here in Tucson are virtual. So a lot of them you can attend by your computer, which is very convenient. Some of them are in person as well. So it's a mixed bag of both of those. And obviously, clients typically prefer appearing by video. It makes their lives a lot easier if they can appear virtually, especially if they have a job or something like that. Yeah, so that's my typical day.
Yeah. So, what's with the virtual appearances? Is that a carryover from COVID or what?
Yeah, that's a good question. Yeah, it started during COVID, but the courts realized that by allowing it, it made sense. It was logical. So not for every hearing, if something really substantive is going to happen, then perhaps you have to be in person. But I would say probably 80% of them you can appear by video, and I'm glad that's the good effect of COVID. I mean, nobody liked going through that process. I know it kind of stunk for everybody, but that aspect of learning that the virtual option made sense was very good for both attorneys and clients. So yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Cool. So, criminal law, is that what you went to law school to study? Did you always expect to become a criminal attorney?
So I knew I wanted to go into litigation to be a trial lawyer, but I wasn't sure exactly what I wanted to do in law school. It's just something I kind of fell into when I graduated in '02, and the economy was kind of weird as far as hiring goes. And so I wasn't really sure which route I was going to take. Originally, I was going to potentially work for a firm that I interned at during my last semester of law school, but that didn't pan out because of some things with the economy and whatnot. So I just kind of hung out my own shingle and started to go to court to ask for court appointments. And I kind of fell into it, and it seemed very natural and a good fit for me.
So, is that a turn of phrase, or you literally would just go to court and ask for?
Well, both. I mean, so you have to go down there to get on a list, so to speak. For me, I had to attend hearings to see what goes on. Like what happens at an arraignment hearing, what happens at a pretrial, what happens at substantive hearings. So I watched a lot of hearings, and it was very obviously educational and practical. So I needed to do that. So doing that was essential and productive. So I did that quite a bit early on. I was getting different kinds of appointments, doing mainly criminal, but I was getting some probate appointments, some things like guardian ad litem things where I'd have to be an investigating attorney to see what's going on in a particular case. So it was all a learning process, and stressful, and not really for the faint of heart. You got to have a thick skin to be able to do that. But yeah, it was good.
Okay. And so, growing up, like, did you ever see any attorneys? Did you know lawyers when you were growing up? What led you to law school?
Yeah, that's a good question too. So my dad's best friend was a lawyer, but he was the only lawyer I knew. And I think he did kind of like tax stuff. He wasn't a trial lawyer. And I never really talked to him in detail about anything. So but he liked his job. When I was in my teens and 20s, I used to be in a rock band with my sister Carrie. And so we did that for about 10 years. And towards the end of the 90s, the band was breaking up. It wasn't, going to go anywhere. And I had a college degree, but I really didn't know what to do. So I knew I wanted to further my education. So I figured I would give law school a shot, and it was a good fit.
I'm laughing because you're saying all these things so like matter of fact, but they're kind of like surprising. So, is your sister still doing rock band type stuff, or did she go and get like a corporate regular job too?
So she's a mom and a homemaker. She lives in the Upper Peninsula of Michigan. So no, she has a very low key life very low key. Yeah.
I'm in Ohio, so I get it. She's living the Midwest life. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
So rock band, college degree, and then you decide on law school. Were you thinking entertainment law or anything, or you were just like, let's see if I even like law school?
Yeah, that was a possibility. So I spoke with my professors, when I was in college, they encouraged me to get an advanced degree, and so I was debating, well, should I get a master's degree? Should I go to law school? Those were the two main thoughts at that time, and I thought law school would be a better fit. When I was in high school, my stepbrother used to get into trouble a lot, and I was always advocating for him, like his lawyer, trying to get him out of trouble. And so it's funny that I went to law school, but yeah, it seemed like a good fit for me, and it turned out to be. Yeah.
Okay. So you said you graduated in 2002. Have you been working for yourself this entire time?
Yes. So 23 years in November, I guess. Yeah. But yes, I've been working for myself the whole time. I got licensed in Michigan first. I was practicing in Michigan for 7 years. And then I met my wife and I moved to Boston. So I got licensed there and I practiced there for 5 years. And then we moved to Arizona and I've been here for almost 11 years. So the brunt of my practice has been here in Arizona.
Yeah. So I live in Ohio, but went to law school in Louisiana. Did you go to law school in Michigan?
Yes.
Okay. So were you able to waive into Massachusetts and Arizona, or did you have to take the different bar exams?
Thankfully, I was able to waive in. I had to have a certain amount of years practice, which I had at least, I think I had 5 or 6 or something, but I had 7. So the Massachusetts one, I was able to waive in. And then in 2013 or so, Arizona had a way to motion in. So I applied to them. It takes the same amount of time, it's like 6 months or something. It's a long process. But yeah, thankfully I was able to waive in and not have to take the bar.
Okay, all right. I think that's an interesting perspective because I talk to a lot of people who either want to leave the law, so they would have used that move as an excuse to quit. And you were like, no, I'll just kind of wave in. So
Yeah, I love it here in Arizona. The weather's great. My wife's from Ohio. It's funny because you're from Ohio, and my wife's from Eastern Ohio, and I'm from Michigan originally. And so love Midwesterners, best people. So.
Absolutely. Okay. So what are a few of the similarities that you've seen in criminal law, like from Michigan to Boston to Arizona? I know there have to be a couple of things, even if the terms are different.
Yeah. I mean, most of the preliminary hearings are very similar. They call them different things. For example, in Michigan, a preliminary hearing for a misdemeanor, like they call them pretrials. Here in Arizona, a lot of times they call them case management conferences. It's the same thing. Same stuff happens at those hearings as happens at a pretrial. Those definitely are similar. Arraignments are similar. In Arizona, we have a grand jury process for felonies. So they do indictments here. Michigan, they don't have a grand jury process at all. So they have preliminary hearings there, but most people waive them and the case gets bound over to the next highest level court. But in Arizona, there's generally no preliminary hearing. It's possible. It's very, very, very rare. They basically just have a grand jury, and if the prosecutor thinks that there's reason to move forward on a crime charge, they convene a grand jury and indict the person. It's a probable cause hearing. It's the same thing as a preliminary hearing, but it alleviates the worry of having to have a hearing with a defendant or anything,
Yeah. Okay. So let's talk a little bit about running a business. You have a team that you work with, right? So how many years was it only you? Were there any, did you rebuild each office when you moved to a new state? Like what happened?
It's still predominantly me. I do have a legal assistant, but that's it. I don't have any other staff. I draft
Are they virtual?
No, she's here in Arizona.
Okay.
But yes, I mean, I have thought about hiring a virtual option for a paralegal if I needed some research done. When I first moved here, there were I hired law school students to do like clerking for me, like to draft documents if I needed something done or research done. So that was very good. I had a few students that did a great job. But it's predominantly me. I draft my own pleadings typically. If I have something that I have too much work to do, I do try to, job it out and like just, I guess you can call it a la carte or piecemeal as needed, So I have that, and then I just have a legal assistant that helps me manage my daily practice and things of that nature. But yeah.
So 23 years, but predominantly you. That's a lot of work. Do you get to kind of like set your own schedule? Like if you're like, these months will be really busy and then I'll take a break, or is it busy the whole time or what?
Well, yeah, I mean, that's the one advantage is, yes, it does give me the opportunity to set my own schedule. I do. Some weeks are busier than others. Sometimes it's feast or famine. You're really busy. Sometimes it's slower other times. I like that kind of dynamic because it mixes things up. People get kind of bored when they have to go 8 to 5 or 8 to 6 or 9 to 5, whatever it is. It's a much better fit for me because I could calendar things as needed. And I can do some things that I want to do myself if I don't have a busy day. So I have a 10-year-old daughter. So, if something comes up, I'm able to do something with her. Or for me, it's ideal. For some people, it's not because they like a steady paycheck and a kind of like a schedule that's set. I like that it's different. Each week's a little bit different.
Yeah. I was a person who loved a steady check, and then I've grown into enjoying being an entrepreneur. The challenge of it, the uncertainty of it is kind of fun. But also I think as lawyers, like we always know we're employable. Like our skills can go anywhere. You can mitigate any risk. So it kind of makes it more fun,
Yes,
in a way.
that's true.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, cool. So I've heard that a lot of people shy away from being solopreneurs, but you jumped right in, right? You chose to open your own firm. And so I think there's a lot of value there. Do you have any advice for someone about why they might want to do that?
Yeah, I mean, if they like setting their own schedule and having freedom and having more liberty, then it's great. If they want a steady paycheck, it's not going to happen. It's more like, some months are busier than others, which is fine. I mean, I've never not made money. It's just that, for some people it's stressful if they're not, every 2 weeks or something getting a check. But my last semester of law school, I took a class called Law Office Management. So it was like helpful for solos, and it basically, the whole project during the semester was building a little booklet of how to start your own practice and doing all the research, what's it going to cost, and things of that nature. So it was very helpful. So I mean, I did a lot of the groundwork in law school, and so so that was helpful. I definitely wouldn't do it any other way. For me, I don't get too stressed out about, oh, well, that case didn't happen, I'm not going to freak out or anything. I've never felt like that. For me, I love it. I do have colleagues who never would want to do it at all. They just like that something is reliable.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to dig a little bit more into that because thinking about this rock band, it's so funny to me. But I think it kind of sets like a foundation of you kind of always doing your own thing. Did you ever work for someone else? I mean, like, did you work between college and law school?
Yes. I mean, those are just kind of jobs to get money in. I would say that I did intern my last semester of law school, as I mentioned. So that was a requirement that I had to do. I had to intern for a whole semester. And they were like a civil litigation firm. They did some criminal stuff, not much at all, mainly civil. And it was fun. I mean, I had a set schedule. I had to be there early every day and had to, leave at a certain time every day. And it was fine. I mean, I got along great with a lot of the lawyers there, but that wasn't going to materialize. They wanted it to initially, and the economy kind of tanked in '02 for, and so, and I was like, okay, well, hey, I spent a whole semester also taking law office management. So I'm just going to do my best. And I called the Bar Association and I was able to get a mentor. He had been practicing by himself for his whole career. And so he helped give me some guidance, and I would call him if I had questions and things of that nature. So don't be shy, because most of them are like happy to help you because they're like, okay, well, this person's new. They don't really know about any of these things. And so, so for me, it was very valuable. And I mean, it totally panned out. I mean, I'm successful now today, so that's good.
Yeah, I'm just thinking about a couple of guests that have been on the show, and there's a lot of people who want that autonomy, but they're not sure if they can do it because they've been working for someone else for so long. And I'm like, of course you can do it. But to me, it's really kind of like innovative that you said from the beginning you were going to do it yourself. You were like, what? I had a semester of training. I'm done.
Yeah.
Especially because like for entrepreneurship, there's so many businesses that don't make it past a year or even like 6 months.
Right.
And you're like, no, I just decided I was going to do it and I did it. So
yeah, Yeah, you got to be a hustler, definitely. You got to, have that drive in you. You got to have some drive.
Yeah.
And for me, I always had that. I mean, I was more of like a bold kind of young person. Wasn't afraid of anything. To try things. Yeah, I mean, it was daunting. Certainly, there were times it was daunting because I had student loans and stuff like that. But I paid everything off myself. Nobody paid them off for me, and yeah, so that was good.
Okay, pretty cool. Very cool. Very cool. Some of these lessons I'm keeping for myself. Like, yeah, you can do it. Look, Edward has done it. You can do it. You can do it. Okay, so one of the questions I like to ask guests is I believe that lawyers are very creative, right? The ways that we can research a case and figure out things and then put them together for court and whatever. Would you have considered yourself a creative person?
Yes, absolutely, I did. My sister and I wrote music. We were very creative. I've always been a creative person. I've always been, more into the arts and I like arts and film and things of that nature. And yeah, so I'm definitely creative, and I think that certainly bodes well. It helps you certainly, and having a positive mindset too, because you're going to be annoyed sometimes. You're going to wish you had a paycheck sometimes, and sometimes you're going to be thank God that you don't have to go to a job to 8 to 6 every day. You know what I mean? Oh no, I have to be at that job again. What am I going to do? So for me, it made me like it and appreciate the practice a lot more, being a lawyer a lot more
Okay.
because of the freedom. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I'm trying to think about like what to title this episode. It's surprising, but I think people are gonna like it. They're gonna be like, freedom and being a lawyer? What are you talking about? Like, it's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. It's gonna be good. Okay. So Edward, my last question for you is what would you say to a law student or like a young lawyer, 5 years practicing or less, about what they could do with their law degree?
5 years practicing or less for somebody who is thinking about going into private practice, or
So probably someone who's either burnt out or they want to change their practice area.
okay. Yeah, and there's plenty of those. I've met colleagues who were burnt out. They didn't like being a lawyer. They, said I went to school all this for 7 or 8 years, and and certainly, there were times in my career that I wasn't happy about being a lawyer at times too. It's not a perfect profession by any means. If they find their niche, for me, being in court was very natural. I enjoy it. I enjoy helping people too. A big part of my job is, negotiating and advocating. That came natural to me. So when I get a good outcome for a client, when I get a really good outcome that they wouldn't have got otherwise, I get a buzz off of it. You know what I'm saying? I feel great about it. So they got to like that too. You got to like, they got to be results driven is basically, and so for me, being results driven has made my career enjoyable. I like helping people. I like representing the public. I like everyday people, just helping everyday citizens as opposed to working for a corporate law firm or something like that. So yeah, so those types of things, if they can find their niche and they're comfortable, they find what they're good at. I think they'll enjoy their profession a lot more. I had some friends who went to work at big firms and they were like overworked. They had no life. Yeah. I mean, that could be miserable for some people. Some might like it, right? Some might say, "Oh, I love it. I work 80 hours a week or 70 hours a week, and I'm enjoying it." Well, okay. Well, that's not what I want to do.
Yeah,
Yeah.
that was me for a while. And then I got married and then the pandemic happened. And
Oh
because I have
wow.
a 4-year-old. And so I was like, oh, I don't want big law anymore. And that was when I made the shift. But I was working 75 hours and I was happy as could be.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, but like my husband was a workaholic too. And so it wasn't until we had the baby where I was like, oh, okay, I actually do want to see her.
Yeah, you're a hard worker. That's awesome. I mean, certainly some people fit in that niche good. I mean,
Yeah.
75 hours is a lot. That's a lot of hours to work in a week.
It is. It is. I mean, for a while, like the podcast just hit 5 years. And
Oh,
for a while, I would be working 40 hours a week on it. And I was like, it's not enough. And I was like, it is. There's nothing else you can do. So
yeah,
now I'm learning that I can only control my piece and then
right.
to just let the rest happen. And it's been like exponentially growing now that I'm trying to not like control it and overwork it. So it's nice.
That's awesome. Well,
Yeah.
obviously, I'm happy to have great success with that.
Yeah. Absolutely. All right, Edward. Well, thank you so much for joining the You Are Lawyer podcast. You want to just say like the name of your firm and where you guys are located? That's fine.
Okay, my firm is Edward Cohn, attorney at law, located in Tucson, Arizona. So that's Southern Arizona. Pima County is the name of the county here, and it's a big county, and I represent. I mean, I handle cases in really mainly in this whole county. Feel free to reach out if you need some help.
Okay, cool.